Until death do us apart. In a world where love can easily fade, one man's decision to end his marriage takes an unexpected turn. As Kingsley sits down for dinner with his wife Bernice, he drops a bombshell: he wants a divorce. But instead of anger, Bernice requests something unusual. She asks him to carry her every morning for a month, just like on their wedding day. What follows is a journey of rediscovery and lost opportunities that will leave you questioning the true meaning of love and commitment. Will Kingsley realize what he's about to lose before it's too late? Prepare for a gripping tale of love, regret, and the small gestures that can change everything. Let's journey through this interesting story together. Until death do us apart. When Kingsley got home that night as Bernice served dinner, he held her hand and said, "I've got something to tell you." She sat down and ate quietly. Again, he observed the hurt in her eyes. Suddenly, he didn't know how to open his mouth. But he had to let her know what he was thinking. "I want a divorce," he raised the topic calmly. She didn't seem to be annoyed by his words. Instead, she asked softly, "Why?" Kingsley avoided her question. This made her angry. She threw away the chopsticks and shouted at him, "You are not a man." That night, they didn't talk to each other. Bernice was weeping. Kingsley knew she wanted to find out what had happened to their marriage. But he could hardly give her a satisfactory answer. He had lost his heart to Jane. He didn't love Bernice anymore. He just pitied her. With a deep sense of guilt, Kingsley drafted a divorce agreement that stated Bernice could own their house, their car, and a 30% stake in his company. She glanced at it and then tore it into pieces. The woman who had spent 10 years of her life with him had become a stranger. Kingsley felt sorry for her wasted time, resources, and energy, but he could not take back what he had said, for he loved Jane so dearly. Finally, Bernice cried loudly in front of him, which was what he had expected to see. To Kingsley, her cry was actually a kind of release. The idea of divorce, which had obsessed him for several weeks, seemed firmer and clearer now. The next day, Kingsley came back home very late and found Bernice writing something on the table. He didn't have supper but went straight to sleep and fell asleep very fast because he was tired after an eventful day with Jane. When he woke up, Bernice was still writing at the table. He just did not care, so he turned over and fell asleep again. In the morning, Bernice presented her divorce conditions. She didn't want anything from Kingsley but needed a month's notice before the divorce. She requested that in that 1 month, they both try to live as normal a life as possible. Her reason for this condition was simple. Their son Charles had his exams in a month's time, and she didn't want to disrupt him with their broken marriage. This was agreeable to Kingsley. But Bernice had something more. She asked him to recall how he had carried her into their bridal room on their wedding day. She requested that every day for the month's duration, Kingsley carry her out of their bedroom to the front door every morning. He thought she was going crazy. Just to make their last days together bearable, he accepted her odd request. Kingsley told Jane about Bernice's divorce conditions. She laughed loudly and thought it was absurd. No matter what tricks she applies, she has to face the divorce, she said scornfully. Kingsley and Bernice hadn't had any body contact since his intention to divorce was explicitly expressed. So when he carried her out on the first day, they both appeared clumsy. Charles clapped behind them. "Daddy is holding Mommy in his arms." His words brought Kingsley a sense of pain. From the bedroom to the sitting room, then to the door, Kingsley walked over 10 meters with Bernice in his arms. She closed her eyes and said softly, "Don't tell Charles about the divorce." Kingsley nodded, feeling somewhat upset. He put her down outside the door. She went to wait for the bus to work. Kingsley drove alone to the office. On the second day, both of them acted much more easily. Bernice leaned on his chest. Kingsley could smell the fragrance of her blouse. He realized that he hadn't looked at this woman carefully for a long time. He realized she was not young anymore. There were fine wrinkles on her face, and her hair was graying. Their marriage had taken its toll on her. For a minute, Kingsley wondered what he had done to her. On the fourth day, when Kingsley lifted Bernice up, he felt a sense of intimacy returning. This was the woman who had given 10 years of her life to him. On the fifth and sixth days, he realized that their sense of intimacy was growing again. He didn't tell Jane about this. It became easier to carry Bernice as the months slipped by. Perhaps the everyday workout made him stronger. Bernice was choosing what to wear one morning. She tried on quite a few dresses, but could not find a suitable one. Then she sighed, "All my dresses have grown bigger." Kingsley suddenly realized that she had grown so thin, which was why he could carry her more easily. Suddenly, it hit him. She had buried so much pain and bitterness in her heart. Subconsciously, Kingsley reached out and touched her head. Charles came in at that moment and said, "Dad, it's time to carry Mom out." To him, seeing his father carrying his mother out had become an essential part of his life. Bernice gestured to Charles to come closer and hugged him tightly. Kingsley turned his face away because he was afraid he might change his mind at the last minute. He then held Bernice in his arms, walking from the bedroom, through the sitting room, to the hallway. Her hands surrounded his neck softly and naturally. Kingsley held her body tightly. It was just like their wedding day. But her much lighter weight made him sad. On the last day, when Kingsley held Bernice in his arms, he could hardly move a step. Charles had gone to school. Kingsley held her tightly and said, "I hadn't noticed that our life lacked intimacy." He drove to the office and jumped out of the car swiftly without locking the door. He was afraid any delay would make him change his mind. He walked upstairs. Jane opened the door, and he said to her, "Sorry, Jane, I do not want the divorce anymore." She looked at him, astonished, and then touched his forehead. "Do you have a fever?" she said. Kingsley moved her hand off his head. "Sorry, Jane," he said, "I won't divorce. My marriage life was boring probably because we didn't value the details of our lives, not because we didn't love each other anymore. Now I realize that since I carried Bernice into my home on our wedding day, I am supposed to hold her until death do us apart." Jane seemed to suddenly wake up. She gave Kingsley a loud slap, then slammed the door, and burst into tears. He walked downstairs and drove away. At the floral shop on the way, Kingsley ordered a bouquet of flowers for Bernice. The salesgirl asked him what to write on the card. He smiled and wrote, "I'll carry you out every morning until death do us apart." That evening, Kingsley arrived home, flowers in his hands, a smile on his face, and ran upstairs, only to find Bernice in bed dead. Bernice had been fighting cancer for months, and Kingsley was too busy with Jane to even notice. She knew that she would die soon, and she wanted to save him from whatever negative reaction Charles might have in case they pushed through with the divorce. At least, in the eyes of their son, Kingsley was a loving husband. The small details of your lives are what really matter in a relationship. It is not the mansion, the car, the property, or the money in the bank. These create an environment conducive to happiness, but cannot give happiness in themselves. So, find time to be your spouse's friend and do those little things for each other that build intimacy. And have an exceedingly happy marriage. Commentary. Until Death Do Us Apart is a touching story about love, regret, and the importance of small acts of kindness in a relationship. Kingsley, who is infatuated with another woman named Jane, decides to divorce his wife, Bernice. However, Bernice asks for one last request, for Kingsley to carry her out of their bedroom each morning for a month, just like he did on their wedding day. As Kingsley fulfills this request, he begins to reconnect with Bernice and realizes how much he still cares for her. He starts to understand that their marriage has lost its spark because they neglected the small, meaningful moments that build intimacy. The story takes a tragic turn when Kingsley discovers that Bernice has been hiding her terminal illness. She wanted to protect their son and give Kingsley one last chance to remember the love they shared. In the end, Kingsley realizes too late that true happiness in a marriage comes from cherishing the everyday moments, not from material things or fleeting passions. The story reminds us to appreciate and nurture our relationships, as these small acts of love are what truly matter. Cherish one. Let's be encouraged to pay attention to the little things that sustain a relationship. Everyday moments in a relationship are what truly matter. Cherish and nurture these moments, as they build the foundation for lasting love and happiness. Don't take your loved ones for granted. Show appreciation and care regularly, because it's the little things that keep a relationship strong. Here are some examples of the little things we can do to nurture our relationships, inspired by the story. 1. Daily gestures. Simple actions like holding hands, hugging, or giving a gentle kiss can strengthen your bond and show affection. 2. Quality time. Spend time together, even if it's just enjoying a meal or watching a movie. Engaging in shared activities fosters connection. 3. Expressing gratitude. Regularly express appreciation for your partner's efforts, whether big or small. A simple thank you can go a long way. 4. Acts of service. Help with chores or tasks that your partner finds challenging. This shows you care about their well-being. 5. Listening. Take time to truly listen when your partner talks. Being attentive and empathetic can deepen understanding and trust. 6. Surprise notes. Leave little notes or messages expressing your love and appreciation where your partner can find them. 7. Revisit memories. Reminisce about special moments in your relationship, like your wedding day or significant milestones, to rekindle the romance. 8. Create rituals. Establish small daily or weekly rituals, such as a morning coffee together or a nightly walk, to strengthen your routine and connection. 9. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge and celebrate even the little achievements in each other's lives, making your partner feel valued and supported. 10. Open communication. Regularly check in with each other about feelings and experiences. Open, honest conversations can prevent misunderstandings and build intimacy. By incorporating these small actions into daily life, couples can nurture their relationship and build a lasting connection. If you enjoyed our content and want to learn more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us bring you even more great videos. Hit that bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads, and share with friends who might enjoy our channel too. Thanks for being part of our community. Till the next story drops, be empowered and be blessed. Bye.